Mr. Speaker, our policy is to protect the most vulnerable for 2 years.
She repeatedly criticised Labour's plan for a 6-month freeze on energy bills. This week, the Chancellor made it her policy. How can she be held to account when she's not in charge?
I had to take the decision, because of the economic situation, to adjust our policies. I am somebody who's prepared to front up. I'm prepared to take the tough decisions.
A live TV showdown with Liz Truss has left Labour's leader scrambling to explain a series of damaging allegations. From questionable donations to policy U-turns, Starmer's carefully crafted image is crumbling. But the real question is, why are so many people now siding with Truss, of all people? The answer reveals a shocking truth about the state of British politics and the growing disconnect between leaders and the public. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Originally the laughingstock of British politics, Liz Truss now finds herself in a position of power. Her 49 days as Prime Minister were absolutely disastrous. The public was mocking her and the economy was in anarchy.
Starmer government already seems to have hit a few problems. Those cuts to the winter heating payments, plenty of tension on the street.
No, and he got in with a very low proportion of the vote. He got in by default because people were unhappy with the Conservatives. They voted Labour. They didn't particularly like him. He's been accepting more freebies than any other MP in Parliament. But meanwhile, because of their disastrous economic policies, they are cutting payments to old people.
Nobody will ever forget the famed lettuce that survived her tenure as Prime Minister. Those who dislike Truss rather strongly have been taken aback by her explosive ascent to prominence as a vocal critic of Labour's leadership. Truss's latest nasty remarks directed against Starmer differ greatly from her past mistakes. Her criticisms of Starmer have been sharp and effective, even though the market was wild and there were U-turns while she was at number 10. She questions his capacity to guide the nation through difficult circumstances and objects to his change of opinion on crucial matters. Truss's message is among the most remarkable since angry voters are beginning to find appeal in it. Disappointed in Starmer's lack of vision.
Just on that point about energy, I want to ask you about their big push on net zero. What do you make of the fact that the West is basically, we're deindustrialising ourselves?
While India and China are building more coal-fired power stations, getting more oil and gas, we in Britain have ended up closing down our oil and gas. This is what's happening under this Labour government. The problem is we have a Labour Party now in government who are saying that climate change is more of a threat to the future of the world than China. Now that simply isn't true.
Many voters agree with Truss's criticisms. Not many people could have seen the shift in public opinion arriving before a few months ago. Recent poll results make this shifting scene quite evident. Though not significantly, the number of people who enjoy Truss has somewhat increased. Conversely, Starmer's ratings of approval have been declining gradually. Truss's net favourability increased by 3 points, and Starmer's dropped by 5 points, according to a YouGov poll published last month. Everyone, though, wonders what Truss might say to fundamentally alter Starmer's leadership. Politics is a hot topic among grapevine gossip. While some others claim she knows since she was in government, others are wondering whether she has discovered any financial issues inside the Labour Party. Unbelievable as it sounds, Truss has evolved into a voice for the dissatisfied, denouncing the political system she formerly participated in. Her journey from political joke to point of contention for Starmer highlights how erratic British politics can be. What Truss said is so crucial that everyone is so agitated about it. Her charges against Starmer go to the core of his well-crafted reputation as a moral leader.
A book is being written about the Prime Minister's time in office. Apparently it's going to be out by Christmas. Is that the release date or the title?
I have been in office for just under 2 months, and I have delivered the energy price guarantee, making sure that people aren't paying £6,000 bills this winter. Now what, Mr. Speaker, I think Mr. Speaker, that is more of a record of action than the honourable gentleman in his 2.5 years in the job.
Not only political slights, Liz Truss has converted Keir Starmer's perspective in a sequence of events that resembles a political thriller. Her charges suggest that the Labour leader might be embezzling money in addition to having changing policy views. Are we witnessing the meticulously crafted Starmer persona disintegrating? The startling remarks Truss made about Starmer cut to the core of his moral character as a leader. She claims he accepted unreliable donations, such as money meant to buy his wife some clothes. It is not at all like the sincere reputation Starmer has earned from much effort. Originally known as the adult in the room, the Labour leader is in the middle of a crisis over unethical behaviour now. Still, it goes beyond appearances. Truss also claimed that Starmer pilfers funds from pensioners. She claims that his policies, such as cutting winter fuel payments, are causing difficulty for many senior citizens. Starmer is accused of a very severe degree, that he is not connected to the people he claims to be employees. A Labour peer called Wahid Ali participates more in the scheme. His financial support of Starmer has drawn criticism from some who also worry about possible outcomes. This link makes those who vote interested about who actually runs the Labour Party. Public responded strongly and fast to these disclosures. Users of social media are discussing topics under hashtags Starmer Scandal and Labour Donation Gate. Opinion pieces abound, far more than one could say about political donations. Among the several are, has Starmer sold out? Thus, the Emperor's new clothes, Starmer's ethical dilemma. The true concern is how these charges would compromise Starmer's reputation. Rising expenses and a belief he hasn't kept his word have even his supporters questioning him and wondering what he is doing. Should these allegations prove valid, Starmer might not be able to ascend to leadership. One thing is clear as the dust settles. This scandal has spurred national dialogue on how to make politics more transparent and honest. Voters yearn for answers since they are tired of the typical political twist. On the other hand, Truss still needs work. She will undoubtedly say more negative things about Starmer's policies, as I have indicated. Do you recall those moving lectures on eliminating tuition costs and bringing about more equitable economic policies? People that support Starmer most definitely do. Now that winter is upon us and living expenses are out of control, many people find themselves wondering where those great promises disappeared to. Regarding Starmer's policy record that Truss made public, the negative assessment is not favourable. Originally viewed as a ray of hope, the Labour leader is today under fire for policies that fail and for election pledges broken. Mistakes with immigration and poor economic management seem to be worsening Starmer's leadership. Let's first address money. Starmer promised a more equitable economy, but during his tenure living expenses have skyrocketed. Public services are being cut rather severely, thus families are struggling to make ends meet. This is not at all the prosperity he promised during his campaign. About those pledges to eliminate college expenses? Students feel misled and with a lot of debt since they seem to be gone nowadays.